Anna.
Hello, how are you?
Super good, thank you. Thanks so much for your shout. That was awesome. I appreciate it so much.
Oh, absolutely. How cool was it when I opened my feed today? I saw that from Lone Tree. It's so awesome, Lynette.
Thanks. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, folks, if you are here to win more business with a strong value proposition, you are in the right place. We're going to get started in just a minute here. We're going to learn a little bit more about what customers are looking for inside of their experience when they're working with you, and we're going to put some language around that and help you build your unique value proposition for your business. So as folks funnel into the waiting room, we'll go ahead and move them in, and then we'll get started here in just a minute. There are definitely going to be some spots in today's class where your participation is encouraged. So definitely when and where you can, have your camera on. You are welcome to take yourself off mute and participate in conversation today. Also feel free to use the chat box if you have any questions or anything like that as we're walking through. And we've got 1 more minute and we'll get going here. All right, let's go on ahead and get rolling. Can you guys see my screen with the presentation? Yes, awesome. Thumbs up, thumbs up. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And let me just rearrange my screen here for a moment so I can see all of your awesome faces at home as well. Thanks so much for joining us this afternoon. Well, let's get started. And you know, as we are building our value proposition, which we're going to walk through an exercise together today, that's going to help you identify the value you bring to the table and actually build some language around it so that you can use that inside of your business. So as we're working up to that point, we're going to explore just a little more the customer's expectations, what it looks like inside of the client experience, right? And as we're going through over the course of the next several weeks, well, throughout really the end of the year, we'll have kind of a whole series designed to help you build different sections of your customer experience, right? Today, we're diving into your value proposition. So keep an eye out for those. You'll be invited just the same way that you were invited for this class, so via email or Facebook or through office training announcements and all of those pieces. You'll be welcome to attend that those pieces as they're coming up. And today, without customers, our businesses are not very useful. In fact, we would not be in business at all, would we, right? So they really need to be at the center of everything we do. We talked a lot about it last week when we got together. You know, so often our customers' experience is based upon how we move through the transaction, right? And instead of designing something that's really centered around our clients, what we do is we simply just walk beside them through the transaction and hope that answering their questions and returning text messages in a timely manner will deliver the service that they're looking for. And yet we know that that's not always the case right now, right? So let's get started really diving in to the customer and to the customer experience, right? This is really kind of a very interesting video, but I want to start setting the stage, right? What do you bring to the table? We're going to have a conversation around this, right? What is the true value that your consumer gets when they work with you? And let's hear what, and let me make sure that y'all can hear my audio too. There we go. What truly is the value that the consumer is looking for in the experience? And in this video, we're actually going to see some feedback from real live buyers and sellers of what they had wanted, what they experienced, and what they'd hoped for inside of their real estate transaction. So check this out.
Feel like you had more knowledge on the property before the agent did?
We were finding information elsewhere that she wasn't going to find it, and some of that was...
What sites were you on that you found different property information than what your agent did? Do you know offhand?
I don't.
But you know that you found...
You'd run a variety of different searches with different kinds of keywords to see if something would pop up, and like I was able to find a previous
Keywords
listing.
like what?
Just I had the property address and just a variety along those lines of you know, add a word, drop a word, try to say for sale, include foreclosure to see if something screwy was there, whatever the case may be, to see if you could find additional photos of the house or some historic information of any sort.
I find the property, I find how much the bank foreclosed on it for. I go to LADBS, LA Department of Building and Safety, and I get pretty much all the records on it, and before I even go to the door and knock on it or step onto the property.
I'm a Yelper, big time Yelper. I Yelped everything. I Yelped the inspection person, the assessor, the mortgage, like anybody that had anything to do with the home. I looked at reviews, and I used homeadvisor.com as well. Like for the termite inspection, I would see who in my area was recommended, kind of like the Angie's List idea, but I used a lot of internet searches for things.
I would be curious to know what I could provide that you would perceive valuable, so valuable to say, wow, they seem to know what they're talking about. I want to choose them to represent me.
For people with kids, I think schools is a major, major thing. I mean, know everything that school has. Know what extracurricular activities they have. Know the programs. Know how the school is and compared to other districts in the state. What makes them stand out.
Any recommendations for other neighborhoods that would meet my needs? Any super secret houses that weren't listed that you knew about, that would be great.
All the things that you can't get online are the things that I want. Don't repeat what's on the website because presumably I did my homework already. Sure. It's those local things that you know by being there that I can't see that are incredibly helpful to me anyway.
So what did you hear? What do the consumers find valuable when they're working, especially in the home search?
I would say the thing that really resonated for me was don't repeat things that you're finding online. Find some insider information that elevates you to a level that they're going to know that you're a leader and they'll choose you.
Yeah, absolutely. They're looking for a level of expertise, right? And we see it all the time, right? Especially, I'm assuming most of you guys are in the Denver metro area here, right? The fun thing about Zoom is anyone can come to any class, yet I know we're here in the Denver metro area, and goodness, it's gigantic, right? You know, this reminds me of the first and only time I live on the very south side of the Denver metro area, and I once sold a home in Broomfield. And you know, that was actually when I learned Broomfield was its own county. Probably information I wanted to have going into that if I was truly going to be that client's expert, right? So there's a lot of value in really going smaller. How could someone possibly deliver insights on every single community inside of the metro area? I mean, honestly, you could spend your entire adult life as a real estate agent in Denver and probably still not know something about every single neighborhood. It's just simply too much, right? So when it comes to finding that knowledge, right? Tools are the leverage that we can use to make that piece easier. And what tools are we using, right? Are we diving a little bit deeper? Are we using tools like Kelly and the neighborhood snapshots to get local insights, right? Are we using some of these really specific pieces? Are we using some different tools inside of the MLS, right? Are we familiar with the walkability inside of neighborhoods? Do we understand what a walk score is and how those pieces work, right? How can we help a client inside of that? But really it's about information. They're going to go searching for information. Is there something you can bring to the table that they aren't otherwise aware of? And Christy, I love this. She said they want super secret properties. Isn't that awesome? That's why consumers search on all of the different portals, because they believe something new is going to show up. And that's why Zillow is able to still have a great consumer following with the data integrity we know they have, right? Because a consumer is going to see something different on Zillow than they're going to see on your MLS Fed site, right? Because it might already be under contract, or it might, not be on the market any longer, or it might be, something like that. So are you building that piece? Do you have a relationship with other agents, right? Are you plugged into to your office, to your realtor board? I know we've got an incredibly active internal Facebook group, right? Lots of coming soons, lots of, hey, have you heard about this property? Or, they're not ready for the MLS yet. And so do you have those in your back pocket? And are you able to use that as another resource, right? How's your network of real estate agents look? And great resources for that are going to be, through social media, right? Your, Smedro's got a great page, has a lot of those pieces too. Love that. What else? What else did you hear? What are consumers looking for?
I would just say a piece that kind of circles back to what we were just talking about, but I always try to tell myself, instead of spouting off a bunch of, dumping a bunch of info on them, of course, it's about asking them about themselves, so that, and I'm giving them information about the area, it's relatable, it's pertinent to them.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And they want, one of the videos that we watched last week, they want you to take what they're saying and be insightful with that, right? They want to say, oh, I want a 3-bedroom home. And after touring 5 3-bedroom homes that aren't big enough, they want you to say, you know what, I think maybe you should consider a 4-bedroom. It sounds like you need an office, right? They need you to have that kind of insight in what they're doing. right? The inside scoop on schools. Yeah, Michelle, that's absolutely huge. If they've got kiddos, they're going to be really interested about schools. What are the reputations of the schools nearby? Do you have a great resource for that, right? You know, I know on our KW apps, we've got all of the information on schools down from school rating to classroom size, right? So can you use your tools to further be a resource to them? And are you getting your clients plugged into your tools too? Yeah, Christy says they want somebody who's more knowledgeable than they are. They hired you because you're an expert, right? And if the consumer goes through the transaction, they feel like they're teaching you some things, then you're probably not the expert that they expected you to be, right? So just some things to definitely keep in perspective. And who is your consumer? Well, right now we're looking at people who are used to instant gratification, right? 10 years ago, people were still getting really quick information, right? The internet was around, that was definitely a resource, but it wasn't in the palm of your hand like it is today, right? Instant gratification. I don't know how many times, I don't know if you're anything like me, but like that random question will just be asked in a social setting. Who's the one of your friends who pulls out their phone right away and Googles it? It's me, if you're around me, right? Oh yeah, the population of Peru is about 7 million, right? Like that is fully me. There's one in every group. So we have to know right now, even if it's not important. And so that's what your consumers are looking for right now. They're not looking for you to be an on-demand agent, right? None of these people said that they wanted their agent to like call them back at 1 a.m, right? They were looking for information and access to that information. So even if that information is not coming directly from you, do you have a tool and a resource that gives them access to a higher level of information when they need it, right? So that's going to be, great tools for that are going to be, your mobile app or your website. Do you have a real estate blog? Have you built out your guide on your mobile app so that people know exactly where they're going in the transaction, right? So that you're moving them through in a step-by-step manner and they're getting the information they want when they want it, because that's really what they're looking for. Oh, goodness. Well, so let's dive just a little deeper into our customer relationships, right? Because the default perspective, when we're just walking alongside our clients and we're taking them through the transaction, while we can successfully help them complete that transaction and make it to the closing table, we may have very well not made a client for life. Right? They're really looking for an experience. They're looking for the next level. They're wanting your expertise, right? As you're going through this. But how important is it? So let's take a look at this chart. Now, the numbers in this chart don't quite look like our local market, right? But I want you to imagine this, because this really could be the case. Somebody buys their first home. Maybe it's a condo or a townhouse, right? Around the 250,000 mark, right? We can all do that quick math to determine what that commission might look like. And now that's just on a general historical average of 3%. Your rate's going to look different. Now let's imagine for a moment that 10 years after they've bought that condo or townhouse, they're ready to make a move. And they're going to move into their family home, right? They've got married, kids now, they need a bigger place. So they need to sell that condo or townhouse and purchase another home. Well, as time's gone on, real estate has appreciated. So they're going to be able to sell that condo or townhouse for a lot more. That's that $336,000 price tag. And then they're going to purchase that move up home, right? A little more square footage, has a garage, right? And then let's imagine 10 years later. Their kids are growing. Maybe they're you know, getting into high school. Maybe they're getting ready to leave the house. Who knows? But their situation's changed. They're ready to do it again. And so they're going to sell their starter home, their family home, and they're going to move into their second home, their move up purchase, right? So appreciation is going to kick in again. They're going to be able to sell that second home at about 550, purchase that new one at just under 700. Right? So look at that. If you look long term over the course of your career, that same client, they're satisfied the first time and you delivered an awesome experience, will do business with you again and again, right? Their time frame might look different than this, but the value of that customer, $67,000. And sometimes we go into it thinking, oh, it's just a transaction. Oh, it's just a condo. That's not very much money. It adds up. It adds up. And I bet it adds up for you too. So let's take a look at this in today's terms. What could this mean? Who wants to play along? Do I have a volunteer? This is going to add up nicely.
I'm volunteering, Anna.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Patricia, you'll need your calculator. Wonderful. So, Patricia, what's the average sales price right now of, say, a starter home?
Around 230.
230, maybe for that condo?
For the
like
condo.
350 maybe if it's a single family home?
If it's a single family home, yes, it's much higher.
Yeah. Okay.
450.
Yeah.
Kelly's saying 450 starter home.
Yeah. Going detached, 450.
450. Awesome. 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 Go ahead and break that math out, Patricia. Tell me just in round dollars what you think that average commission would be on a 450 sale.
450, and we're taking a 3% commission. That's 13,500.
Awesome. Okay. 10 years later, they're going to sell their house. Ballpark, what do you think that house is going to be worth?
Detached, and I'm living in the suburb, like let's say Highlands Ranch.
Yeah, so 450. What do you think that house is probably going to be worth? 600.
I'll think it's probably around the 575, 590.
Awesome. Okay, let's go with that 575.
575.
Go ahead and tell me what you would make off that.
Oh, 17,250.
All right. Hey, but they have to buy a house too.
Yes.
So they're going to buy a house for 700,000.
Okay. $21,000 on the nose.
Awesome. Cool. Hey, 10 years later, they're going to go to sell. They're going to go to sell. That $700,000 house is going to be worth $1 million.
Yes. Like I'm doing the math, right? 30,000.
Yeah. And this is going to be the last sale that they're going to do with us. We're going to let you guys do the math on whatever that final home is, but they're going to purchase that next home at 12.5. or I'm sorry, 1.25 million.
1.25.
1.25 million. Yeah.
$37,500.
So you know we're at about 120,000.
Wow.
Over the span of 20 years or 3 moves. Right? Which could happen a lot sooner. Why is that important? Just out of curiosity, we started this with a $13,500 commission. Which one would you rather take home today? $13,500 or $120,000?
420.
Yeah, sign me up for the 120, right? Even though that's going to happen over the course of time. So here's the reason why, right? And these stats float around all the time. It's no surprise. 90% of home buyers say they will use their agent again, but only like 12% do. Right? The numbers are really similar for sellers. 86% said they'd use their agent again and only 27% do. So I think there's 2 reasons for that. The first is that the experience wasn't amazing enough to leave a lasting impression. And 10 years later, when they go, or 5 years later, when they go to buy or sell again, goodness, it was okay, but I just can't remember your name. Because it was just okay. Right? And the second contributing factor to this, and I hope that you're not guilty of this, but we lose touch with our past clients. We simply forget or don't see the importance of staying in touch with them over a long period of time. Oh, they bought their house 3 years ago from me. I haven't reached out to them in 3 years. I'm not going to do it now. Well, that would be awful, wouldn't it? I'd look foolish. Well, chances are they're coming up on a move here in the next couple of years and they don't remember your name. But they'd love to work with you again if they could only remember who the heck you were. Another fun statistic, I want you guys to write this down. 29%. Statistics show that over the life of your database, 29% of those people will do business with you again. Now, if you're really, really good at staying in touch and you deliver an excellent experience, that number could go up, obviously. But on average, that number is 29%. And it's very similar for the number of people who will give you a referral. So round that to 29% would give you a referral from your database. So let's take a look at what those numbers could mean. In this example, you have 1,000 people in your database. You could end up with 290 repeat clients and another 290 referral clients, right? So altogether 580 pieces of business from your 1,000-person database. You remember that math we just did? Oh, going the wrong way. Here we go. Over the life of that client, in that example, they were worth about $68,000 to our business. So having that 1,000-person database and being able to garner an average amount of repeat and referral business could bring us just shy of $40 million over our career. Imagine if you were excellent and you really delivered an awesome customer experience. Now, imagine this with our numbers, right? We just decided that the value of one client was about $120,000. How many people are in your database now? And what's your goal? So whoever's got your calculator out, go ahead and do this math. I want to know what your numbers are based on how many people are in your database. $29% of them, and then go ahead and use our $120,000 for the life of your client. Anybody have a number yet? You can go ahead and put it in the chat box. So let's say I've got a database of about 250 people. That database of about 250 people over time would garner me 73 transactions. Right? Does that make sense? Did I do that math right? 250 times 0.29. Oh, 73. Yeah, times 2. So 145. 145 transactions from repeat and referral business over the life of that database. Times that 120,000. That's 17.4 million. Michelle's at more than 10 million. That's incredible, isn't it? So when you're looking at doing the hard work, and it is hard work of building an experience, instead of just walking your clients through a transaction by default, what you're really doing is you're protecting the future of your business, right? Look at that, over $10 million into your business, Michelle. That's worth it. Right? It's worth it to me, at least. Which would you choose? So as we go into really understanding what the customer's looking for, and we're building out our value proposition, know that your clients need you, right? But they also have options. They also have options. So look at this list here. What do clients need you for? What do they say they need a real estate agent for? Buyers say they need help finding the right home. Negotiating terms. I would say in this market, it's probably also winning the deal, right? Being competitive. Making sure that they're in the right ballpark, that they're not overpaying, pricing comparable homes, and help with the paperwork through the transaction. Right? Those are the top 5 for them. Sellers, they want help marketing those homes, pricing competitively, selling in their time frame. Obviously, they're looking for help finding a buyer. And they're looking for your expertise and your guidance on what fixes or renovations they could make that will have the greatest impact on the sale and the return on their investment. Right? So they're looking for your guidance on what to do, how to fix up and prepare their home for sale. Check out what they're looking for from an agent though. 19% want an agent who's honest and trustworthy. I bet you the other 81% just assume that an agent is going to be honest and trustworthy and didn't think it was worth mentioning on the list. That's got to be a foundational piece, right? Everybody's going to want an honest and trustworthy agent. 17% said that agent experience was important. And the reputation of the agent. Remember what those clients said in the video. They're going to Yelp first. Exchange the word Yelp with online reviews, right? Maybe it's Facebook, maybe it's Google, maybe it's Zillow. Wherever clients can tell the world what they think of their experience with you, that's where they're going to go. 15% trusted an agent who was a friend or family member, right? So they went with somebody who was in really close proximity to them in that way. Now, I got to ask you a question. Do you know people who have friends and family members who are real estate agents? Right? I mean, like everybody knows a real estate agent right now, right? There's a lot of us, let's be honest. Not everybody will choose to work with their friend or family member, right? So don't default to that, especially if you have somebody who you're working with who you know has a friend or a family member who's in real estate. Oftentimes, and particularly millennials, they're looking for somebody who's almost has that anonymity and doesn't get inside of their personal business. Sometimes a friend or a family member is just too close and they don't want to share those those gory details of what's going on behind the curtain with somebody who's too close to them. And they would rather work with, I wouldn't call us a stranger, but they'd rather work with somebody who's just a little further removed. And agents who have knowledge of the neighborhood, right? So they're looking for that neighborhood expert. For sellers, that reputation of the agent was far more important than it was for buyers. Right? Are you going to get the job done? What do your statistics say? Once again, looking for somebody who's honest and trustworthy. Just as likely to work with an agent who was a friend or a family member. Knowledge of the neighborhood, though, a little more important for sellers, which I find interesting. And also looking for somebody who's a good listener. Has a caring personality. They're going to act more like a consultant than a salesperson for that seller, right? They're going to be on the same team. I love that. So these are pieces that are really important for your buyers and sellers when they're selecting you. And this is language that you want to keep in mind. In a few minutes here, as we go through the exercise and we're walking through our value proposition, know that this is what a client is looking for from us, right? So walk through this exercise with me. Pull out a pen and paper if you have one. Imagine that your client's at a party right now. They're socially distantly mingling with friends and family, and they're right in the middle of the transaction with you, and they're telling everybody about their experience. The holidays are coming up, so this is a reality, right? They're sitting there at Thanksgiving dinner. They've been under contract for 2 weeks. What are they telling? What's the story they're telling to their friends and family members? What's the story you want them to be telling? Right? If you could script that conversation for them, what would they be saying about you? What would they be really excited about? Right? What would make your phone ring afterwards? Goodness. Like all the messages. Let me see how I can shut this thing off. I don't know if it bothers y'all like it's bothering me, but okay. So is that story they're telling going to make your phone ring? right? As soon as dinner's over, like Black Friday, it's just their friends and family calling you. Oh my gosh, right? You're helping my sister's cousin's best friend's neighbor move. And I've been thinking of moving too. I love it. Christy says, I can't believe I get to work with Christy Taylor. That's what her clients are going to be saying. Yes, they are. Yes, they are, because you're going to deliver that really special experience for them, right? You're going to make it noteworthy because you're customer centric. And by keeping this in mind as you're going through the transaction, right, you're going to deliver an excellent experience. But what we're doing today is we're identifying what pieces of the service we deliver are noteworthy, and we're gonna put some language around that, right? So let's take a look here. At what some of these experienced real estate agents have to say. Like what do they find we should be doing to deliver a customer experience?
What are you doing for the real estate experience to exceed expectations?
We need to spend more time up front, you know, laying a foundation, because there's not a foundation that is strong enough in most situations. This is definitely a me generation, and that's why they want this experience. They go to Yelp to look at something so that they can make sure that the restaurant that they're going to not only has good food, but the ambience is there. They've already said that a house is a house, but they really want the community, they want the feel. So that's really important. And you know, what I do is that first impressions are so important. So I send them an electronic, because almost every one of these people don't want you to send a hard copy anything. So I've taken all of my material that was hard copy and made it into either a PDF or IZU, if you know that, which is like a book. And so we send them the pre-buyer package or the pre-listing package before they come in. When they come in, we have a electronic screen that their name is up there, they're welcomed. They come in, I have an opening ceremonies form that is all about them, because it's so important for me to understand the personality style right up front. So I have questions about the person. Are you direct? Are you life of the party? Are you family and friends, or are you a number cruncher? And then they check that off, and as I sit there to review this, they fill it out on their iPad. And so when I sit there and I'm looking and I say, wow, you know, you said here, family and friends. Do you wonder why I ask you that question? And they look and they say, yeah, I was wondering. And I say, because communication is the breakdown of the world. And so right now I want to start, and let's talk about communication. We talk about all kinds of things. And like you, this can last, depending on the personality style. A deep person is going to be a lot quicker, but 69% of the population, and a lot of the people in this generation are warm and fuzzy people, and they want an experience. And so when you know that, then you can deliver that and put that foundation down, and you don't have the issues. You know, for me to sit out there and listen and own a brokerage and listen to what these people, not only these people, all of the people that we had today, it has to do with us and being more proactive and really showing the value of being a realtor.
What did you hear there?
Seems like she's incredibly proactive in her approach. I mean, she's not waiting for them to have any sort of, you know, experience where it's like, oh, I wish this was an electronic copy. She's like, here's the electronic copy. Here's all of this. It's all about you. It's everything you might have needed. I thought of it already that you were going to need this, and here it is. And tell me about yourself. I love that she's asking them, or having them take that personality style quiz, because that is so important. And people can be so different, and the way that you would sell a house to me is so different than how you'd sell a house to, you know, my brother-in-law. And so that was so interesting to me. She's incredibly proactive.
Absolutely. Well, and Laura, oftentimes how I would sell a house to you is going to be very different than how I would sell a house to your husband. Right. And we run into that time and time again, where you've got competing personality styles. So I love that. And you're absolutely right. Like, she was proactive, and that is an incredible word. She was anticipating what was going to happen throughout the experience, and she was setting the stage for it. Right. And in fact, the next class in this series is all about setting that stage and how to really be proactive and communicate the expectations on both sides, right? Like, here's what's going to happen on my end. Here's what you need to do, and here's what you can expect along the way. Those personality styles, huge, right? Being able to communicate with people differently and the way that they like to be communicated with. And Christy says, you know, deliver the warm and fuzzies, but she sounds really organized. Yeah, I'll bet she is, right? The buyers probably aren't sitting in her super messy office as she's trying to grab an MLS sheet off the printer. And, you know, she's probably taken the appropriate amount of time before each client to be really prepared for what they need, instead of just flying by the seat of their pants, right? So she's put a lot of foresight into what they're going to expect. So here's what we heard so far, right? Know your market and your demographic. Like, people are going to want additional information from you, right? They're looking for you to be the expert, and they're really looking for some local neighborhood insight, right? They want to know a little bit about what it's like to live there. Know their preferred communication styles, and there's lots of different ways to do that. The way that she does that is with a really quick, just kind of, which word would you describe yourself as, right? And why is that important? Well, obviously, if somebody describes themselves in a more assertive manner, you're going to need to be quicker. You're right to the point, right? You're not going to waste a lot of time with small talk and getting to know each other. They're going to want to get to business, right? If they're describing themselves more of the life of the party, right? They're highly social. Well, then it's all small talk, baby, right? You're going to get to build that relationship together. They're going to really need those warm and fuzzies to feel connected to you. If you have somebody who is, you know, who's the family person, they're maybe more steady. They might be a little more cautious too. And so they're going to want to really have a trusting relationship inside of you, and you're going to need to slow down and meet them where they are. And then that number cruncher, that's the analytical type, right? They're going to be really interested in having data and facts and figures, and they're the ones who are going to want, you know, neighborhood comps and price per square footage, and they're going to want to know all of the numbers, right? So you may not have to necessarily slow down for them, so long as you're providing the data they need to make the decision that they need to make. So, but know your value proposition. This is huge. Your value proposition is really just kind of a cliff notes of what it's like to work with you, right? This is your commercial. This is your elevator pitch. This is really quickly and succinctly, why would somebody choose to work with me, right? And so, I put these out of order, but I want to start with, here's some examples of value propositions, and we'll roll back through these as we go through this exercise. If you don't have a pen and paper yet, now's a really good time to get one. Also, you're welcome to take some screenshots, okay, of this as you're going through, because you know, obviously this is something that you're going to really want to craft and you're going to want to work on well after we're done with class in 10 minutes today, right? So here's a couple of sample value propositions. We've built a full service team specifically for our customers. For the same price as working with a normal agent, consumers can take advantage of buyer specialists, listing agents, and a marketing department, transaction coordinators, telemarketers, inside sales, and virtual assistants, right? So that's the experience they've designed. If you're an individual agent and you like the way that this sounds and you want something that sounds like this for your business, well, tweak it a little bit, right? We've built a full service team specifically for our consumers. For the same price of working with a normal agent, consumers can take advantage of also working with our marketing department, with our full transaction coordination team, with our concierge services, right? With our professional photographers. And who are they? Well, that's your contract TC. That's, you know, your Virtuance photographer. Those, but they're on your team, right? So you can really craft this so that it makes sense. Our goal is to be informative and helpful. We hope to earn your business with exemplary levels of service and extensive local knowledge of our area. Isn't that what we just heard customers want? They want that extensive local knowledge and exemplary service, right? So I'm telling you right here, that's what I deliver. We use our expert advice, local neighborhood knowledge, and up-to-date market data to achieve successful real estate outcomes for our clients on a daily basis. Man, that sounds great. I would love to have a successful outcome, right? So you're telling me how I'm going to win. You're telling me as the client what's going to be really important to me. So on this next screen here, you'll see a series of words. Take a moment to just read through them. Write down 3 or 4 of the words on this screen that you think really describe the service that you aim to deliver. Your clients are there at Thanksgiving dinner and they're using these words to describe you. Are they saying you're professional, focused, cooperative, polished, versatile? Which words are they using? Pick another 3 or 4 from this list. Are you aggressive, dynamic, inquisitive? Would they describe you as multi-talented, experienced, responsive? Which words really stand out to you on this page? These lists of words can be really helpful for you as well as you're writing your value proposition. So feel free to screenshot this and I'll put the other list back up in a moment as well. Here's the other list. So those value propositions, these ones, if you want to screenshot these 2 as great examples, you certainly can. They all kind of have something in common. They answer questions, right? They answer questions that clients haven't asked yet, but we're going to ask them here. And I want you to answer these for yourselves. I exceed expectations by, what do I do to exceed expectations? And you can jot down full sentences here. You can jot down ideas, single words, because you'll use these as some framework to craft your value proposition. I deliver an exceptional experience for my customers by Here's another great question. My personal strengths are, you could also say my team's strengths are, if you have a team environment, so you could do either one. So what do you do with all of this? Well, you've just written down some ideas on how you exceed expectations, how you deliver an excellent client experience, what your strengths are, right? Using some of those powerful words that we visited a few minutes ago, you might craft those into a statement or a series of statements about what you deliver. And you could even go so far as to frame that sentence by saying, I exceed expectations by doing whatever I wrote down I said I did to exceed expectations. And I deliver an excellent customer experience by, and I do this by utilizing blah, 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 which is my strength, right? Very basic value proposition and still very effective and impactful, right? Here's a couple more examples of some great one-liners, right? That really sum up what it's like to work with me. You'll hear these called taglines. Okay. What's your tagline, or what's your bumper sticker? Out to change the way you think about real estate. Right? These are smaller and oftentimes used in marketing, right? You could find this on your business card or as your slogan. Yeah. Prompt and professional service is our guarantee. We sell more because we do more. Innovation, determination, and a cutting-edge team approach. Weird but efficient. I love that, Christy. So here's your homework. And as we finish up, if you want me to put anything back up on the screen so that you can continue to work through it, or if you need to grab pictures of it, just let me know or put it in the chat box. What is your value proposition? You might drive this even further and say, what's your value proposition for sellers? What's your value proposition for buyers? What problem are you solving? What solution are you bringing? How are you going to deliver an excellent experience? How are you going to exceed their expectations? What are your strengths? Use some of those powerful words to craft a statement. And then get some collaboration and some feedback with that. I am very, very happy to be a sounding board for anybody here when you come up with your statement or your value proposition. If you think you have something now, I'd love to hear it. And I'm going to go ahead and throw my email in the chat box. Feel free to email over what you're working on for your value proposition. I would be honored to give you some feedback. I'll be as constructive as possible. And I know that words are not everybody's forte, right? This is not easy for a lot of people. The vast majority of us, real estate agents, fall in the assertive or social realm. We're not necessarily the creative type, right? And so actually slowing down and coming up with our unique value proposition can be very challenging to do. Putting those words together in a way that's really effective and makes sense can be very challenging to do as well. So I'm happy to be your partner inside of that. You'll get this whole slide deck as well as the video here after the class also to refer back to it, but I want you to keep going from the notes that you have. Block some time here in the next day or two while it's fresh on your mind to complete your value proposition statement and your tagline. If you want to go so far as to create your slogan, I think that would be awesome as well. And send it to me. I'd love to see what you do. I will hang out here for a minute or two if anybody has any questions or wants to put anything back on the slide deck. Otherwise, we will see y'all soon. We won't be here next week for a customer experience related class. However, y'all are invited to join us for a business planning session. Feel free to reach out to me via email or the socials or however you got invited to this class. And I have a special invitation for you to attend our business planning session next Thursday. It's from 9 to 1. It is based on the models of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, the MREA. So two things that I would say. The first thing is if you have never actually made it through the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, the red book, and you're curious about what those models look like and how millionaire real estate agents run their business, well, I don't know if you've ever watched a movie for a book report, but that's kind of like what business planning clinic is, because we're going to be running through in a live demonstrative way all of the models from the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. And the bonus is you're going to get to plug your numbers into that and actually determine what it would take for you to hit your goals next year, breaking everything down to all of those building blocks and pieces. So we're excited for that. Y'all be getting invitations for that the same way you got an invitation for this. And I look forward to seeing you guys for our business planning clinic next Thursday. And then we'll be back soon here in just a couple of weeks with more customer experience related courses so that you can really be building out that foundation for your business. Thank you all for coming today. It was a pleasure to see you or to see your avatars on Zoom. We'll look forward to seeing you next time.
Thanks, Anna.
Good to see you, Laura. Bye, guys.